what's new in Devtools and all the experimental features in Devtools. Okay, let me just introduce myself a little bit. So as Jeff mentioned, developer advocate for Chrome Devtools, and I'm a diver. I love diving. So if you have any diving questions, you can DM me or you can share me some diving photos as well. But since now it's COVID time, I hope everyone is doing well. So I have not been diving for almost a year, almost that, because of the situation. So yesterday I just bring out all my gear and then just wear it just to feel like I'm still in the water. And I also start to learn some new activities like I try to raise my own plant. So this is the mushroom that I raise. And then I also learn cooking. So that is actually the mushroom that I cook. So what I want to say is just try to keep yourself happy even you are still stuck or working from home. But we are lucky enough that we can still work as a software engineer, most of us. Okay, so let's talk about the experiments, some of the experiments that we have in Chrome Devtools. Okay, before I start talking about the experiment, the features, let me just share about how to enable the experiment. So if you go to your Devtools, let's say this is your Devtools. On the right-hand side here, there is a setting button. Just click on it. The third tab is the experiments tab. So from here, you can actually enable or disable any of the experiment. So for example, I enable something called CSS overview, which later I will talk about. Every time you enable or disable, you will need to go and click on the reload Devtools to apply the changes. Okay, so that's where you'll need to enable or disable the experiment. Okay, then which release of Chrome can you use those experiments? So later on, the experiment that I'm going to talk about, some is in Chrome Canary, which is a daily, nightly build, which every day when we have new features, we just push, and then we will have a new release of Chrome. It's Chrome Canary. Or if you want, you can test that in dev channel or beta channel of Chrome. Or if in the stable version, we also have some experiment that you can test, but those features might not be the latest one. So if you want the latest one, the fresh one, then you need to use Chrome Canary. Yeah, so I encourage you to install that. Okay, the first one that I want to talk about is Flexbox debugging tool. And yes, the team is starting to build a Flexbox debugging tool to help you debug Flexbox easier. So for example, in this page here, okay, let's talk about the experiment first. So the Flexbox experiment, if you scroll down the list, you will see that this enable new CSS Flexbox debugging features. That is the experiment that you need to enable in order to receive the Flexbox feature. So let's say in this page, this is a Flexbox. So when it's a Flexbox, what you can see is let me just select again. Forward, we have a new badge that's showing on the side. If you click on it, we'll highlight it so that you see the layout. If I zoom in here, so we'll paint the layout. You can see the layout, and then you can play around with, let's say I want to change the flex direction to column. So do you see that there's a new icon showing on the right-hand side to show you how exactly it will look like? So for example, if you select row, it will show side by side. If you select column, we show you a little icon to give you a better idea on how exactly it will look like if it is in the actual mode. So let's say I just change it to column. Yeah, then you see that it's changed to column. Let me zoom out. Okay, then this little icon here this little icon here is context aware as well. So let's say now I say column. So let's say now I say justify content. Say it's center. So now you see that when I say justify center, usually justify center, the icon I will show in a row form. But now because we say that the flex direction is column, so you see that the icon actually is context aware, so it will rotate to the column form to show you that how exactly it will look if it's in column. So just define like flag start or space around. So these are the little things to help you to debug the flexbox better. And then we have a new pane here, layout, if you haven't realized yet. So in here, we have this flexbox section, which it will show you all the flexbox in this page to help you navigate to the flexbox element better. So for example, if I want to see like this element, I will just go to that element. It will go straight in, and then I can enable that. Or if you want, you can change the color of the grid line so that it appears to the it makes it easier for you to view the layout. Yeah. So these are some of the current Flexbox features that we're putting in. There will be more Flexbox features that we'll add in to help you debug Flexbox better, but these are what we currently have. And since we are talking about Flexbox, another thing I would like to talk about is the new features that is already in. We already released that, which is the grid. So we also add in debugging tool for grid. So let's say here, this is a grid. The same thing here. If it's a grid, then we'll display a grid badge on the screen. Then you can enable that to view the layout. And then when you're debugging the grid, can I zoom in? Sorry. Okay. When you're debugging the grid, you can see that there's a label here that I put in. So let's say I don't want to see the line number. I want to see I want to show the track sizes as well. I want to see the line name because each of the line in why is it? Okay, each of the line here in CSS grid, you can assign name for each of your line. So if you have the line name, it will display the line name on the screen. And then if you click show track sizes, what here will display it? It will display the size that you put in when you define. So for example, 1FR and 2FR, because this is how I define the area. And then it will display you the actual size as well, which is 96.66px and 193.33px. So it will show you that. And if you want to display the area name, if you assign an area name when you debug your CSS, when you design your CSS grid, you can also enable that. So it will show you like this is a banner section, this is a sidebar, and this is the content. And then you can extend the grid as well, the grid line, so that when you, for designer, when you design, you want to see whether the elements is aligned accordingly, then you can extend the grid line to build it. So these are some of the grid debugging features that is already in stable, that is ready for you to use. You don't need to enable the experiment. So you can try to use the Flexbox experiment features or the grid. Yeah. So this is the first feature I want to talk about. The next one is font editing tool. So are there a time when you want to editing your font? You want to edit it slightly easier. You want to like see what are the font sizes, have something that you can drag, higher, bigger font or smaller font. So we have this editor now for you to edit it. So let's say in this page, do I have, okay, go to my page here. Okay, and then go to the style. Oh, sorry, use this page. Okay, so in this page here, in the body, you can see that the font family is Rubik and then sans serif. Okay, so before that, let me talk about which experiment that you need to enable. Let's scroll down. This is the experiment that you need to enable. It's called Enable New Font Editor Tools within the Style pane. So the name itself told you that the font editing tool will be in the Styles pane. So in here, once you enable that, you will see that there is a new icon showing here, which is font editing. Click on that. Then you will have a drop-down list of a font family. You can change it, let's say, to Monaco. Then you see the font change to Monaco. And what are the fallback fonts that you want to change it to? Let's say you want to change it to Lucida. Then you can change it. Or if you want to have a second fallback, then you can change as well. Then if you want to change the font size, just change it, or the line height, or font weight. So you can just change. So this provides you a visual tool to do to edit your font. Okay, this is still in experimental mode, so there are still some design that we are still working on. So you can see that it's like off screen a little bit, but we are still working on that. So you can give us feedback in CR bar. Later on, I will share the link for that. Yeah. Okay. So this is the second features to help you edit your font easier. Okay. The third feature I want to talk about is customized keyboard shortcuts. Actually, this is one of the features that people requesting a lot. They want to be able to customize the keyboard shortcut according to your preference. Now you can do that. So go back to the experiment. Let me show you where is it. So in the experiments tab here, see that there's two sections. Actually, in the experiments tab, there's two sections. One section is tell you that this experiment could be unstable or unreliable. Then you need to restart Devtools. And the second section actually told you that this experiment are particularly unstable, enable at your own risk. So keyboard shortcut is under this area. So we are still pretty much working on that a lot. So there might still be a lot of changes that we will put in. But if you want to test it, you can test it now. Okay, so once you enable that, restart your Devtools, and then you can go to the shortcuts tab here. And then in here, oh, by the way, if you see here, we can mesh the shortcut using Devtools default, or if you are using Visual Studio Code, you can actually mesh it to the Visual Studio Code preference if you want. So let's say here, after you enable that, you can see that there's an edit icon under this. Every time when you click, you will see that there's an edit icon showing up. So if you want to, let's say, show console, you want to edit that, you want to change that to, let's say, some other shortcut. Let's say I just want to use Command A. You can do that. Okay, let me just clear it. And then if you want Command A, you can do it, because Command A, no others command using that shortcut yet. But let's say now you want to add a shortcut, which other shortcut is already using that. Let's say now I put Control dot, which is the next call frame is already using Control dot. So let's say now if I put Control dot, it will tell you that this shortcut is in use by the debugger next call frame. It will just warn you, not allowing you to edit that. So you need, if you want, you need to edit the other one and then come back to edit this one. Okay. And then another thing that you can do is you can do you can define what we call multi-chord shortcut, which means you will have let's say I want the show console to activate when I type Command A and Shift Z. So I can do that, Command A and Shift Z. Oh, so you need to be fast enough. Command A, Shift Z. Yeah. So this is something we call multi-chord shortcut. So you need to activate by using a few key shortcut. You can do that as well. Or if you want to add more than one shortcut, you can do as well. So you can still do Control. Just now the first shortcut is Control dot. You can also put back this one. And then if you want to save it, you can just save, or you can just undo it if you want to undo it. Then you can reset it. So it will just remember the wherever you undo, it will just go back to the default Devtools setting. So it's easier. So you don't need to worry that, oh my God, I just changed to some, I just want to test it out, but I don't remember what exactly is the original shortcut. No worries. You can always click reset to reset it. Yeah. So if you want to define your own shortcut now, you can try to enable it and play it yourself. Okay, the next features, the next experimental features I want to talk about is something we call CSS overview. This is a very interesting feature because it helps you scan your page CSS and then give you an overview of how your page, all the colors and all the issues in your current page. To enable this, go to the Experiments tab, and then there is this enable, here, CSS overview. Click that, and then you can enable the CSS overview features. Okay, once you select that, CSS overview is actually a new panel. So once you enable that, you can see the CSS overview panel here. Click on this one, and then click Capture Overview. So once you click Capture Overview, it will run for a while because my page don't have many things, so that it runs quite fast. But if your page have more, then it will take a little bit time to run, but not too slow. Okay, then it will give you an overview summary of how many elements you have in this page, how many inline style, how many media queries, and what are the colors. This is good for designer because sometimes you just want to check whether your whole page using the standard company theme color or any color that you want to fix. These features here give you an overview of all the colors so that you can just click, and then when you click on the colors, then it will show you that which element exactly using that color. See here? It will just give you the element. So if you want to go to that element, you can just click on the target and then just straight go to the element. So you can navigate to the element, see, and then go to the element easily to fix something if you want to fix it. And then another thing here is it will show you the contrast issues as well. So what are the elements that have contrast issues? Later on, I will talk slightly more about the contrast issue, but let's skip that first. And then it will give you the font info. How many fonts are you using in this page? So you see that in this page, I'm using the Times font, one occurrence. If you click on the occurrence, the same thing, you can see where exactly which element is using that. Or Manlaw, which element is using that. Oh, if you click on that, you can go to the code as well. But if you click on the target, it will go to the screen. But if you click on this element here, it will just bring you to the code. Okay. And then what are the unused declarations in this page? So let's say now when the page runs, are there any unused CSS? If there is, it will show you the unused CSS declaration here. Then you can see that whether you want to remove it or why is it not using. Is it enabled with JavaScript or is not? If it's not, then maybe you can consider to remove it. And then whether there are media queries is using in this page, it will show you as well. Okay. So let's go back slightly to the contrast ratio issue here. I want to talk a little bit about this one because this is also a new features, but it's not experimental features. It's a new features that we provide you in order to help you to detect contrast issues. But let me just disable one of the experiment first because I want to explain it. Let me just reload Devtools and then run the report again. Okay, go to the colors here. You see that the contrast issues here. So in this page, you see that I have two tags. One is anchovy, one is delicious. So anchovy is delicious. Okay, so the background color is pink color and the foreground color is gray color. The second one, the background color is yellow and the text color is light green. If you see this, if you have a normal visions, then this might appear okay to you. But for people with color issues, it's very hard for them to see because the contrast ratio is quite low. So how do you detect these type of issues? So the first, usually, if you want to know the contrast ratio issues, you can, in your Elements tab, select the element. Then click on the text color here. Devtools will actually show you contrast ratio, which is tell you that, oh, this contrast ratio is not good. If you expand it, then it will tell you that this doesn't match the AA and AA standard. one of the new features that we have added in is this automatic one click to help you fix the color. So if you click it, we auto suggest you a color, and then you can fix it here to help you fix it. So later on, you can copy this value and then apply it save it in your code. So this is one of the new features that we are adding in. But to do this, to check this one by one, imagine your page have a lot of elements. To check this one by one is very tedious. So the things that we add in here is if you run the CSS overview, we'll just tell you all the low contrast issues in your page so that you can just click on each of that and then view the elements. Why is the element not showing here? Interesting. Okay, this is a bug. Every time when you want to demo something, because this is still in experiment, this tab is still pretty much experiment. Later on, I will log a bug. So by right, if you click on here, you can see the, let me just try to rerun it again. Okay. Click on here. See, now you can see it. That's what we call experiment. Okay. So when you click on the experiment tab here, the color here, then it will show you like this text have these issues. If you hover to it, it will try to focus on the text, and then you can click show element to show it. Or if you want to fix it, like just now, you can just click on the text, and then it will redirect you to the elements panel, and then here you can click down and fix it. Okay. So this is basically a one-page overview on all the colors contrast issues that you have. Okay, so this is the CSS overview panel. I encourage you to try it out to see whether your page, especially designer, to see whether your page are there any colors that is out of the company theme. Okay, the next one, I want to talk about the auto contrast issues reporting. So if you don't like to run CSS overview, you are too lazy, you just don't want to, because there is still some effort here. You need to click capture overview in order for you to see the whole page, what are the CSS overview, and then what are the text with the low contrast issue. If you don't want to click that, I know you want Devtools that just show me all the contrast ratio issue that I have for the page. Devtools provide that as well now if you enable the experiment. So if you go to the experiments tab here, click here, enable automatic contrast issue reporting via the issues panel. So if you have Devtools open, then when you load your page, then basically here on your right hand side, there's an issues panel that we add in. It will show you that, oh, your page actually have some issues. So what are the issues that you have? So you don't need to run any report. See, I haven't run the CSS overview report or anything. It will just tell you, or in your console, if you want to see what are the issues that you have on your page, it will just tell you that in the console, there will be a message here. There's some message moved to the issues panel. If you want to click view issues, just click on it. It will toggle the issues panel as well. And then here it will show you that the user may have difficulties to read the text due to insufficient color contrast. And then if you expand that, then it will tell you that what are the minimum contrast ratio should you have, and then give you some explanations. And then what are the affected resources? If you click on that, it will redirect you to the item as well. Okay. So you can do that. So instead of go to CSS overview click, you can just enable the automatic report. So every time if there is any contrast ratio issue, we will just put that in the issues panel here. So the issues panel is also another new panel which will report some of the issues that you will have in your page. So not just contrast issue, because this is the newly added one. Let's say you have some security issues, you have some cookies issues. All of those issues we have been moved into the issues panel to give you a consolidated view and then provide you actionable guidance to help you to fix the issues that you have in your page. Okay, so this is the auto contrast issues reporting. Okay, so the next one I want to talk about is some things we call advanced perceptual contrast algorithm, APCA. the name is slightly long. So the normal standard that we use to test color contrast of certain text, we are using the AA and AAA standard. So just go back here just to recap. If you click on here, the text, what we do is we always show AA and AAA AAA to tell you that the text actually meet the color contrast accessibility or not. But there's a new standard that's coming up, an algorithm coming out, which is APCA. So APCA have a slightly more modern calculations to give you more accurate contrast ratio suggestions. So the color contrast, the color and contrast actually extremely depends on the context of the page. So to accurately predict the contrast, let's say the contrast on certain element, is based on these three things. The first one is the spatial, which means your font weight and your font size actually impact how when I look at the text, how I perceive the text readiness. The second thing is the color. Definitely, if you have the color differences, the more contrast is better. So, but the color between your text and the background actually affect how users perceive the colors. And then the next thing is something we call context. Context means that what are the purpose of your text? Are they used in the header, slightly bigger one, or are they just something like your trademark? For example, usually we use C trademark icon, just a small icon, or is that an ambient line? And what are the surrounding what are the other text that is surrounding? So based on all these three criteria, APCA actually use these three to calculate what are the exact color ratio you should have for the certain text. Okay, so let me just enable the experiment. If you go to the experiment tab, just now I disable it because I want to show you the AA and an AAA thing. So if I enable that and I refresh, reload the Devtools, select the element again. Now you no longer see the AA and AA, and you can see a percentage here. So it will tell you that the contrast ratio is 19.28. So it's not good. So if you want to meet the APCA standard, you at least need to have 35%. And then the same thing here, you can use the suggested color to actually fix it. But you might be wondering, how exactly do we calculate this APCA ratio? Why is it 35%? So there is actually a table that we are using to calculate this. Let me show you the table. Okay, before I show you the table, let's look at this text, and then let's enable the computer pane. Let's see what are the font weight. So here the font weight is 700, and then the font size of anchovy is 36px. Okay, so let's go to this table. This is the APCA table that so if you want to see exactly the implementation, is a JavaScript library. You can because Devtools is open source. You want to see exactly how we implement that, you can actually go and look at the code. But if you want to have a like overview on how exactly it is calculated, here I can show you. Let's say just now the text is 36px, and then the font weight is 700. So 736px, which means the text needs to be at least 35%. So that's how this is a simple table to tell you how exactly the contrast ratio, APCA contrast ratio is calculated. So for the text with font weight 700 and 36px, you need to have at least 35. You need to have at least 35% of the APCA score in order to achieve a better color contrast. So let's say if you have a smaller text, let's say you have 14, your text size is 14px, and your font weight is only 300, it's only like 400, then you need to at least meet 100% of the score, in order to make the text have good color contrast. And here the code here, actually I can share with you this one later. So it will actually have some guidance here, like what does 100 means, and what does 80% means, and what does 60, 40, and 20 and 10% means. So so basically this is replacing, if you enable this, this is replacing the AA and AAA standard for the accessible color suggestions. Okay, but this is still experimental, because even the APCA algorithm is still, from time to time, there are some updates. So we are updated quite frequently according to the standard. So if you enable that, you can just try it out and then see how it goes, because the algorithm is still changing as well. Okay, the last one, almost the last one, the last feature I want to talk about is something very exciting personally for me. It's something called Puppeteer Recorder. Anyone heard about this before this talk? Let me just open here. Okay, anyone say something in the chat? Okay, no. Okay, so this is one of the features that I really like, because it's something like the macro in your Excel. It help you to auto-generate the code based on what you perform on the page. So for example, let's say now I have this test page. I have these three field: name, email, name, and age. And then I want to perform some of the testing set. Okay, so let me just go to the sources panel here. Oh, okay. Before that, if you want to enable this Puppeteer recorder experiment, just enable the recorder experiment here. So later on, you can go to the sources tab and then expand here, select the recording. Oh, because I have select the recording. So the recording basically is the fourth tab here. Select it. And then you can click add a new recording. So give your recording a name. Let's say I just type test1.js. Okay. So once you do that, you can start to click record. But before that, let's talk about what are the steps that we want to do first. So let's say here, I want to start with this page, and then I will change the URL. So the first step is I will just land on JFYI, and then I will navigate to the recorder page. Once I go to the recorder page, I will type an email address and then my name here, and then I will just type my age here, and then I will click submit. So the form will be submitted. So later on, what I want to test is that after I enter the email, I also want to check that whether the email is show t alias t.t when I perform the step. So let's do that. Let's start with the. So let's say I start with this page, and then now I click record. So you see that some of the code is start to automatically generate. So the first one, it tell you that some JavaScript code, it tell you that Puppeteer require Puppeteer, because this is one of the library that we're using. Then after that, it will just say that it will launch a browser, and then wait for the page, and then it will go to jet.fyi, which is the page, and then it will just append the browser close here. But let's say now I navigate to demo recorder, which is our page. Okay, did I stop recording? Okay, sorry. Okay, let me clear and do again. Sorry. Okay, let's say we just start from this page, and then now if I focus here, if I type words here, you see that it will show you the target page, and then the element.type t alias t.t. It will show you here. It will select the element and then type the words. And then let's say now if I go to my name and then I type Jecelyn here, then you see that it will click and focus on the element here. Click on the element. And then the second step is basically mimic what I do, which is I type Jecelyn.Yeen here. And then next, I click on the your age here. Then you see that a new code generated. I will just say select HTML body main form input type numbers child number 3. Later on, I will explain why is this, but it was just pick a selector, the most accurate one, and then click on that. And then now I will type, let's say 13. Okay, so you will see that it will show 13. Type 13 here. And then if I click subscribe, submitted, you can see that the page actually will generate some of the code and then say wait for the navigations and then wait for the selector and then evaluate the form is submitted and then wait for the promise. So basically what you see is if you are a tester or if you want to write some or automate some of the tests of your page, but you don't want to like hand code it yourself, now you can use this recorder to generate a base script. So I just stop recording, generate a base script, and then later on, you can edit some of the script here to perform additional checks. So let's say just now I mentioned that after I type T alias, after I type my email, I want to check that I want to console.log, I want to check, I want to assert that the elements really have this T alias T.T value. So what I do here is, let me just copy because I have just prepared somewhere here. I'll just copy and paste here. Okay. Why? Okay, don't allow me to copy. Okay, let me just type console.log and wait element dot evaluate. Sorry, because I don't remember code. Is it's still not copying. The wall area, okay. So let me just need to type here. Okay. Area / your email. And then dot value. Okay. Let me just expand it here. We see. Okay. So let's say after I type the email address, I want to check, I want to console.log, I want to log the value to see whether it is really T alias T.T, whether I have really entered it. So if I save this, now what you can do is you can save it here, but you can't do anything further with this. You can't replay the recording in the Devtools yet. Now you cannot do that because this is an experimental feature. But what you can do is you can right click and then you can save as. You can just save into one of your project. Let's say I would just save into my one of the project that I have called recording. I just save it there. It's the Node.js project. So once I save it in the recording folder here, if I show you here, there is a test 01, the test that we created just now. We can use Node to run it, provided if you have installed Puppeteer. So if you run it, so we just perform the step just now. And then remember just now I put a console.log here. So here it will show you that the console.log is T alias T.T. Okay, we just perform the step using a headless browser to perform that. And then so you can change your script here to check whether the form is really submitted or anything that you want to automate. You want to test on your page, anything that you can perform manually on your page, basically you can use Puppeteer to do it. And then with these recorder tools, it's even easier for you now because it will help you to automatically generate some of the base code for you to work further on it. So it's pretty cool, right? Okay, so this is the last feature I want to talk about. Okay, but there's one more features that usually you don't need to use. I also just want to talk about is the experiment features, something that we call protocol monitor. So the protocol monitors, how Devtools work is Devtools have front end, which is the UI that you see, and we have Devtools backend. The backend is basically some of the backend code that how we talk to the JavaScript engine. So Chrome is running on V8, a JavaScript engine. So there must be some method that we use to connect the front end to the back end. That those are called CDP, Chrome DevTools protocol. So sometimes when we the Chrome DevTools team working on some of the features, we want to see whether we send the correct command to the backend. This is what we use to monitor that, to see any command that we are sending. So let me just enable, if you want to see this enable this experiment, you just enable the protocol monitor here, and then it will give you a tab called protocol monitor. Okay, once you enable that, anything that you perform on Devtools, if you click capture, you see that anything, even you hover, click on any, click on that, we will send a command to the Devtools, the Devtools backend on what are the requests and what are the response. So usually you don't need to use that, but this is the features that we, when we debug, when we develop Devtools, what are the requests and what are the response exactly that we are sending the command to the backend. Yeah. Yeah. So this is the last feature I want to talk about. Okay. So that's all about my talk. Thanks for listening. There's a few things I want to mention. The first one is, since last year, we have started this Devtools engineering blog, which we have our engineer, we shared about how they implement a certain features. For example, how we simulate the color vision deficiency in the Blink renderer, how we build Chrome DevTools web button tab. Because Chrome DevTools is basically a web applications itself. If you look at the code, it's a web applications. So it's quite interesting that we also migrate from our custom JavaScript module to using the modern JavaScript module, and then we also migrate our code from JavaScript to TypeScript. So these are the experiments that we think it will be valuable to the public as well. So the engineer will share some of the experiments, some of the experience that they have, and how we solve those challenges. So if you want to follow our blog, you can follow it here, go.girl/devtools-blog. And then the last thing, you can follow us, follow Chrome DevTools channel, Chrome DevTools Twitter to receive the latest news, or follow me, Jecelyn Yeen. And every 6 weeks, I will publish a what's new in DevTools documentations and what new in DevTools video on YouTube. So follow us, and then to receive some of the latest features in DevTools to improve your productivity. All right, that's all. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you again.
How I...
So it was very mute.
Oh, okay. I can
Okay,
hear you now.
It's good. Okay, so about the question, so I was just say before, thank you again, and people start to say that they really enjoy the talk. So about the question, is there any workflow or life cycle about experimental feature? Does all the feature finish to stable release?
Okay, so the experiments features. So when we experiment something, means that we don't know whether it will be. We receive some signal that user might need it, but we don't know. We are not sure yet whether it is. It will be available in the stable. So we'll experiment it for quite some time. We don't have exactly time frame say that, or in 3 release we must push it to stable. So there's no workflow like in terms of time. But we do have a step that we need to make sure that the features is fully working. We to test it, we will write some unit tests and then end-to-end tests to make sure that the features is really working before we push it to the non-experiment. So the workflow is we have experiment, and then after that we'll by default enable the experiment, so we won't delete the code and any changes first, and then after that we will remove the experiment things entirely and then make it a stable features.
Okay. What is the best way to understand an experimental feature on the tab experiment, and how to use it without a session like today?
Can you repeat again?
Yeah, for example, you present lots of experimental feature today,
Yeah.
so it was really good to understand how to use it. But without a session like today, how can you understand how to use the experimental feature?
Okay, so how you understand that? Let me share my screen. So now we actually document the experiment features as well. So if you search what's can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So let's say in every new release now, towards the end, for example, Chrome 89 is the latest release note that I write. So we will have this experiment feature here to tell you what are the experiment and what are the updates in those experiments. I have started since Chrome 87. I have started to put in some of the experiment features to help you understand that. So if you click on that, like for example, font editor in the style pane, why is it not direct to the page? Okay, here. So if you look at this, then we actually told you that how some of the description on how where is it, how to enable that, things like that. But another thing that coming soon that I'm still in planning on how to do it is, because in here the experiments tab, it's very hard for you to just by the name read it and then know what exactly is the experiment. So the next thing that we plan to do is maybe have a little icon here, more info. When you click on it, it will redirect to one of the page to explain you, to guide you through if you want to test some of the new features. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yes. Can you step? Yes, exactly. Thank you. Because we have a little bit of echo. How is the experiment chosen and added to the backlog? And how do you have a kind of process of prioritization?
Okay, the prioritization process is interesting because DevTools is big, that everyone is using different part of DevTools. If you are for example, if you are animations creator, CSS, like pro CSS, you will want to see some of the CSS features. And then if you are security expert, then you use DevTools for the security. Then everyone have different priorities. And then when we have all these priorities, we have different teams to work on different things. And then this process it's not like we have a standard process that, standard procedure to decide which are the features, because sometimes it's just based on the heuristic that we think roughly when we receive some of the community feedback from Twitter or from Siaba. If you upload the bugs, upload certain features, then we base on those signal and then combine it together to say that, we prioritize this or we will develop that first. Yeah.
Okay. In the font editing tools, is there a tool to simulate missing font?
Okay, in the font editing tools, we don't have to simulate missing font in the editing tools, but in DevTools, since Chrome 87, we have this emulate fallback fonts features. Let me just share my screen again. Okay. So let's say I have a testing page here. So actually talk about that in the in my CDS talk as well if you want to watch. Okay, sorry. Okay, this will be fun. Okay, so let's say this page, I have a font called Rise. I have a font called Arial. Okay, wait, let me just show the click on the font here. Okay, so in the we have a new features in the rendering tab. Just click show rendering. In here, there is a emulate let me see, disable locker font. So there is this called disable locker font. So if let's say you have a locker font in your font space rule, you want to test that, you can enable that to test the fallback font if it's a locker font. But if let's say it's a font that both fonts is in, it's also available on the cloud, then we don't have the features for you to test that fallback font yet. Does that make sense? Yeah, but this is a good feature. I'll take note on that, and then we can put that in. Yeah.
Are there also experimental audits for Lighthouse?
Experimental audits for Lighthouse, we don't. Yeah. So Lighthouse, when Lighthouse is in, so every time when there's a new Lighthouse features, we'll just roll the Lighthouse library in Devtools, and then we will just share it. So there's no experimental audits for Lighthouse.
Okay. So how to report enhancement or issues to Devtools feature?
Okay, so it's very easy. That there's a shortcut for that. It's called crBug.com/new. So if you go to here, you can report a bug, or in Devtools itself, you can do so as well. So let me share my screen again. Okay, let's go to here. If you have some issues, we actually have a little button here, help, report the Devtools issues. And basically it bring you to the, it will bring you to the link that I show you just now. Basically it's this bug, and then you can choose to say using the template. So what are the summary? So usually how you report a bug, you just give us a one-liner on what is happening. You see that here, there is a lot of field that you want to put in. But if your issues is very generic, you can just put in a very generic description. Let me show you one of the bugs that I put in recently. So reporter me. Because I myself is a Devtools user, so I will report some of the bug as well. So for example, this is the latest bug that I reported, gap in autocomplete text in the console. So what I do is I just put in some of the steps. If you open Devtools, open the console panel, you type document and observe the autocomplete list, and then some of the text have very big space. And then so then I provide some of the detail, what am I expected, and I have some screenshot as well. So sometimes if you tag us, if you tag me in the Chrome Devtools, I will also read that message. So this guy actually reporting this. You see that this is the big gap between the text. So somehow there's some weird gap here, not sure why. And then I test it. Yes, there's a big gap. Then I report it. Or you can just report it yourself. It's better because you can keep track on the status. And then after that, we will just go through the process, and then we'll bisect, we'll test it, and then we'll fix it. Yeah, so this is how you can report a bug to Devtools.
Cool. Can you tease us on a future feature not yet developed?
Can you tease us on the future features? Can I? I cannot. But most of the feature that we are currently doing is already in Chrome Canary. Okay. Yeah, I cannot. Yeah.
Experiments are announced firstly with what's new in Devtools, how to track change on them before the release with bugs.chromium.com.
Yeah. So before it released, we always have a bug number. So okay, let me share my screen again. Okay. So every time when we create a certain new features, let me just open here. Just deny here. Okay. So let's say every time, let me just go down to one of the experiment features, or just for any features, when I write the release note, you can see that there's a Chromium issues here. So in this issue, if you click on it, it will open our bug tracking like just now where you report the bug. So this is the place that we use to manage all the issues in Devtools. So for example, these features, we always have a bug here and then assign to who, and then what is blocking. Every time someone have a code changes, when we commit a code, if the code is related to, the commits is related to this bug, we'll just place the bug number and then it will just update the comment here, and then some discussion will happen here as well. So for each of the bug, we'll definitely have a tracking number, which if you want, you can add comments and then put in your suggestions or anything in the bug, and then the person who are the team member who are working on that will look into that. Yeah.
About custom shortcuts, we have an import or export shortcut
Okay.
in order to share with teams.
Yeah, this is a good feature, I think. Yeah, let me just take the feedback back. Yeah, we don't have it now. Yeah.
Okay. And is the issue panel linked to the result we could have in Lighthouse Audit?
Okay. So the issues panel and the Lighthouse audits, they are currently, if you run the Lighthouse audits, if you have issues, this is a new features as well in what's new in Devtools 83. Let me share my screen here. Close the Devtools. So currently in Chrome 89, Chrome 89 is not yet in stable. I think in your stable now is Chrome 88. So Chrome 89 is coming to stable. But if you're using Chrome Canary, basically you have it already. So we will have one more audits here showing you that the issue log to the issues panel. When you run the Lighthouse audit, you see this screen capture that I make. If you have issues in the issues panel, then it will show you your Lighthouse audits. Will show you that there are some issue logging there. So what are the issues type? And then you can click and then try to look at it and then fix it. Is this answer your question?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So I think we don't have any question. Thank you again. It was very interesting.
Thank you.
I will just cut the stream for now, and we will wait again 5 minutes in network mode if people want to talk to Jecelyn, you could. So thank you again. I will stop to present and see you soon.
Thank you.